ในวันนี้เราจะย้อนกลับไปเมื่อ1 เดือนที่แล้วเข้าสู่คลิปนี้ครับทุกคนเกม Theory นะครับเขาบอกว่าเกม DOS เนี่ยมันเป็นแค่จุดเริ่มต้นเท่านั้นนะครับก็แสดงว่า100ประตูที่เราฝ่าฟันมาทั้งหมดเนี่ยอาจจะเป็นแค่จุดเริ่มต้นของทั้งหมดก็ได้อันนี้จะเป็นชื่อเรื่องเท่านั้นนะครับก็วันนี้เราจะเข้ามาดูในตรงนี้กันแล้วกันนะครับก็มันโพสต์มาแล้ว1 เดือนที่แล้วแต่ก็เราย้อนกลับมาดูแล้วกันนะครับแต่ผมก็ยังไม่เคยดูเหมือนกันเนาะก็เอาเป็นว่าเราเข้าไปดูพร้อมๆกันเลยแล้วกันนะครับมาก็ผมจะเปิดซับไว้เหมือนเดิมนะครับจะเปลี่ยนซับเป็นโอ้มันมีซับมาให้เราเลยนะครับก็ถ้าเป็นอย่างนี้เนี่ยแสดงว่าภาษาไทยก็น่าจะได้แล้วแหละเนาะเพราะว่าเหมือนเขาจะใส่ซับมาให้เราพร้อมกันเลยนะครับเพราะเขามีเขียนซับให้แล้วเนาะโอเคมาปึ้งโอเคโอ้ฉากนี้ไม่เคยเห็นที่ไหนเลยแฮะประตูใช่เกม Theory ครับทุกคนโอ้โหใช้ฟอนต์ดอด้วยนะ
Welcome to Game Theory, the show that leaves no stone unturned and no door unopened.
I went through a door, though. The name of the game is Go Through Doors, and I went through a door.
Ah, yes, the smash hit Roblox game Go Through Doors. Love that one. Although, I actually think Matt had the right idea because it is now my turn to jump into the mysterious abyss that is Roblox Doors.
Okay, Doors ครับ
in an abandoned hotel where to win
เกม
you
เรื่อง
have
ที่
to get
โรงแรม
this,
ล้างโอเค
walk through doors. I know, shocking. Though, on the surface it might sound pretty
ก็เอาเป็นว่าผมอาจจะไม่ได้พูดถึงคำที่เขาพูดมากเท่าไหร่นะครับเพราะว่ามันก็ใส่ซับมาให้เราเรียบร้อยนะครับแล้วเขาเขียนซับเองนะมันก็จะแม่นยำประมาณนึงมันไม่ใช่ออโต้เจเนเรตซับนะครับจะเป็นว่าแบบเป็นคำเฉพาะอะไรอย่างงี้มันก็น่าจะเขียนเป็นภาษาอังกฤษมาให้แหละเนาะแต่ก็เข้าไปดูเลยแล้วกันเนาะ
Things escalate pretty quickly. There's demonic entities that are trying to stop us, a homunculus made of flesh and bone known as the Figure that sabotages our only means of escape, and there's a bunch of extra rooms called the Rooms.
The Rooms เราก็ยังไม่เคยเข้านะครับ
However,
ใช่เรายังไม่เคย
it no
เข้า
longer means you have 100 doors to go through, but 1,000. It's actually quite a challenge. Fortunately,
คือ The Room ผมไม่เคยเข้าไปนะแต่เหมือนพอรู้อยู่เขาว่ามีมากกว่า100 ประตูนี่แหละเนาะแต่ก็อยากเข้าสักวันนึงอะนะแต่ก็หาเวลาว่างก่อนแล้วกันนะเพราะโอ้โหผมว่า 1,000 ประตูใช้เวลานานแน่ๆครับ100 ประตูผมยังใช้เป็นชั่วโมงเลย
through most of this, there's a mysterious blue sparkle that is trying to help us escape. This is guiding light.
Guiding light, okay.
When we die, show us the path during the chase sequences, and offer us tools like the crucifix to stop entities dead in their tracks. We believed in previous theories that guiding light was the one manipulating the halls of the hotel into the random arrangement you encounter.
แต่ guiding light อะเราเคยเห็นเฉพาะแบบเวลาในห้องมืดอะถูกไหมในห้องมืดในห้องฟิกเกอร์อะไรอย่างงี้
There is a similar yellow light entity waiting for us. They're just less helpful. We learned that this spirit is named Curious Light, although their name leaves a little to be desired, as they don't seem as much curious as they do aloof. They refuse to give us hints, and yet they want us to keep trying.
ในไอ้นี่ใช่ไหม The Backdoor ครับที่เป็น April Fool Day Update ไม่ใช่ดิเป็น The Backdoor ที่เป็น The Hunt Event ของ Roblox ถูกไหมเหมือนมันจะมีไอ้เจ้าไอ้นี่อยู่นะครับหรือในห้องอะไรสักอย่างผมจะไม่ได้แต่เหมือนเคยเห็นอยู่นะจะไม่ได้แล้วครับจะมาสีเหลืองใช่ใช่ The Backdoor The Hunt ไงของ The Hunt ถูกไหมใช่ไหมจำไม่ได้ Curious Light พยายามหนีออก
as proven by the appearance of Bob the Skeleton, who is actually from an entirely different Roblox game and whose name tag we can find in the room. It felt like Curious Light wanted access to this room in order to escape and explore more worlds, and it seems like we were right.
Curious Light โดนขังใน
Curious Light is back, no longer stuck in the rooms, and this time they are actually trying to help us. We've got a new speedrun challenge on our hands, as we've got to go from door -50 to door 0 in just 1 minute. That is not a lot of time. It's almost as if they don't want us snooping around for lore. But fear not, friends. Even with the dreaded time limit, I was able to uncover the secrets this little update had for us. How it connects to everything we know so far, and
อัปเดตนานพักนึงแล้วนะ
to update.
Floor 2 ครับ
Grab your vials Trials of Starlight
โอ้โหนานมากเลยนะเกมดอเนี่ย
We're about to unlock even more door lore. That was right. That is satisfying to say. A cool detail to kick us off with is how you access the backdoor update inside the game.
แต่ตรงนี้เราไม่เคยไปถูกไหมเรายังไปไม่ได้ครับ
of your next run. In this case, door -50. However, you can't just walk straight into this new elevator. If you're new to doors, you'll find that the back door's elevator is
ตอนที่ผมเล่นเราก็โดนกั้นครับผมจำได้อยู่
If something glows yellow, we know it has to be related to curious light, matching their yellow sparkles and death screens from the rooms. Sure enough, if you
โอเคแสดงว่า curious light น่าจะเป็น guiding light แทนของในดอปกติถูกไหม curious light จะเป็นของพวกประตู A 000อะไรพวกนี้มากกว่านะ
Back to the lobby, you'll find the back door's elevator is suddenly open to you. Curious Light was stuck in the rooms, but now he's been freed by us completing that final door, allowing him to escape into the hotel's version of the back rooms. That act alone seems to have given Curious Light a change of heart. In the past, Curious Light didn't seem interested in helping us escape.
I usually don't give out hints.
And yet, in this new update, they seem to be doing exactly that. When dying from haste, the entity that comes when the timer runs out, Curious Light will say this.
I've given you a method to add more time to the clock, though. You're welcome. Look around.
แต่เขาไม่ได้ช่วยเราอะไรอย่างงี้เขาไม่ได้บอกว่าแบบชื่อตัวเราชื่อแบบสัตว์ประหลาดคืออะไรบ้างอะไรอย่างงี้ถูกไหมปกติไกดิ้งไลท์จะบอกนะ
Sometimes even up to a full minute. Without those, you literally cannot beat this new update. Plus, not only have they added a way to give you more time, but much like Guiding Light, they've also added an item to help us out. One that can regenerate our health and help us move faster. This item is called Vial of Starlight. It's yellow and the primary symbol inside the vial is a star, which matches the spark from
Curious Light ถูกไหม
Curious Light has given us the only method available to beat
แสดงว่าเป็นตัวช่วยที่ Curious Light ให้เราถูกไหม
towards us. But why the change? Because being in the rooms felt hopeless. It was 1,000 doors. There was no way anyone could
1,000 ห้องอ่ะลองคิดดู
They wanted to escape, but they just didn't see it happening until it did. We beat the rooms and let Curious Light out into the basement.
ตอนที่เราแบบสามารถแบบออกจาก the rooms ได้แล้วถูกไหมเหมือนเขาบอกว่า Curious Light ก็จะออกไปพร้อมกับเราด้วยเหรออะไรอย่างงี้
Suddenly, there was a chance. If we can do that, if we can beat 1,000 rooms, what else are we capable of? What else could we help them achieve? And so they've perked up, realizing that we might be able to help them get what they want. And what is it they want? Well, if you do manage to get to the end of the back doors, you'll find a final door marked 0000.
ใช่
Proceeding
เรา
through
ก็
this
ผ่าน
door
ไป
starts
แล้ว
a short cutscene where the door begins to break open with a yellow light, and suddenly you're back in the hotel lobby with an empty door.
แต่ข้างๆเนี่ยเดี๋ยวเนี่ยผมต้องกดยังไงนะประมาณตรงไหนดีประมาณเนี่ยแถวเนี้ยถ้าเห็นนะครับทุกคนก็จะเห็นว่ามี curious อะไรที่เหมือนหลุดออกมาด้วยถูกไหมเนี่ยตามพวกเนี้ยก็ไม่รู้ว่าเป็นแบบแค่หลุดออกมาเฉยๆหรือว่าแบบเป็นแค่แบบเอฟเฟกต์สวยๆของเขาหรือว่ามันหลุดออกมาจริงๆด้วยนะนี่ไงตรงนี้ด้วย
Curious Light symbol. Last time it seemed like Curious Light wanted to access multiple realities with all those different doors floating in the void in room A1000. But now he seems determined to get into the main hotel. They've once again used us to open a door that they can't open themselves, and we've led it straight to their desired destination. He even leaves a bottle of Starlight, a larger version of the vial
ตรงนี้
collecting
โอเค
as a sort of thank you
เราก็ได้
before
เหมือนกันครับ
the final door.
เราก็ได้แต่ก็ยังไม่ได้ใช้
Suspicious of Curious Light and their motives, there was something else in this update that gave me pause. When you die, Curious Light gives you breakdowns of the entity that killed you, like they did in the rooms. But their tone has once again changed. In the rooms, they didn't really have a name for anything. They just said things like,
ใช่
Not too sure on what to call it. You could just call it A60, I don't know.
But now, they're offering more solid opinions.
That one. You could call it the Look Man if you like.
โอเค
He does have names for these things. He's actually giving you his attention, except for one specific entry. One of these new entities is called Blitz, which is a modified version of Rush from the main game. But if you die to it, Curious Light says this.
Oh, one of my favorites. She said we could call that one
Blitz.
Who is she? We've never encountered a she before, but
โอเคเมื่อกี้โฆษณามาครับ
whoever she is, Curious Light seems to
แต่
recognize
she คือ
her
ใคร
authority. He doesn't question
แต่
her, he
Curious
just
รู้
tells
จัก
us exactly what he's been told. No opinions, no wisecracks, just direct answers. And if this she is telling Curious Light about the entities, is she the one behind everything, pulling the strings? I've got some good news for you, theorists, because I believe we know who this character is. And it all comes down to this symbol and this painting. This symbol is the binding circle that appears
โอเคเวลาเราใช้ crucifix ครับ
We've examined this before and broken down the different parts of the circle to figure out exactly what it's doing. Like the Star of Solomon in the middle that became associated with the occult and demons, which makes sense when it literally traps the demonic entities we find throughout the hotel. But there's one part that we didn't talk about. The
อะไร
ring of symbols around the Star of Solomon. These symbols are wingdings.
อ๋อ
And
โอ
if
เค
you
ตรงนี้
convert that
wingdings
text
เหรอ
to a normal English font and then run it through a key cipher, you'll get the message. One of the 3 architects marked by celestials assists you. Given that this is on the binding circle when
What?
using a crucifix,
จริงเหรอ
an
เดี๋ยว
item that
เดี๋ยว
celestials
ขออนุญาต
assists you. Given that
ย้อน
this
ไป
is
ดู
on
ก่อน
the binding circle,
นี่ครับทุกคนถ้าทุกคนเห็นตรงเมาส์ผมนะเนี่ยตรงนี้ทั้งหมดเลยครับเขาบอกว่ามันสามารถแปลงออกมาเป็นตัวหนังสือจริงๆได้แล้วก็ได้เป็นไอ้คำนั้นขึ้นมาโอเคแสดงว่าต้องมีอะไรบางอย่างแล้วแหละ
item that glows blue and traps the entities in a blue light. I think it's pretty safe to say that the architect it's referring to is guiding light. Until now, we've been referring to guiding light as an angelic being due to the sword-bearing angel statue in the courtyard as well as other religious imagery. However, we did get this tweet from one of the developers saying the crucifix indoors does not mean the game is going in a religious direction at all. And this translation of wingdings would certainly suggest that too, with guiding light not being an angel but an otherworldly being known as an architect. But does that mean that using religious imagery throughout the lore of this game is immediately debunked? I don't think so. Firstly, other than terminology, it feels like we were kind of on the right track with guiding light. We suspected guiding light was an angel twisting the halls of the hotel to trap the demonic entities. An architect is someone who builds and designs buildings, so guiding light being named an architect makes sense as they are the one changing the building. We may not have been right about the terminology
เป็นคน
used
สร้าง
for
พวก
guiding
แบบ
light, but we
โรงแรม
ended
อะไร
up
อย่าง
with a
งี้เหรอ
similar conclusion because we found some religious influence. And that word influence is important because what I showed you isn't the full tweet. It continues. It will remain mostly secular other than inspiration and will be all original. The developers aren't denying that they're taking inspiration from religion, just that it's not inherently a religious story. And here's the thing. We actually see this religious inspiration through the binding circle translated text. One of the 3 architects marked by celestials assists you. It implies there are beings above the architects that give them power in some way. They are marked by them. These beings are referred to as celestials. This word is often used to mean something up high, and in astronomy it refers to things in space, like the term celestial body. But celestials derive from the Latin word caelum, meaning heaven, and was originally used to refer to heavenly beings or angels. So while guiding light and curious light might not be angels themselves, we might be encountering some otherworldly beings at some point, these celestials. The space theme continues when we have a look at the painting we can find on floor 60. This floor is where we find the
ไม่เคยเจอเหมือนกันนะภาพนี้ไม่คุ้นเลยครับ
resides, and it's the only place where this painting appears. The
อ๋อมีเขาบอกมีภาพนี้เฉพาะในห้อง A60 อะไรห้อง60ในตรงที่เป็น A60 ปะ
space time, which again seems to be referring to the
ชื่อ space time
otherworldly themes that we've already talked about, especially when you take
ไอเนี่ยมันเหมือนไอนี่เลยอะเนี่ยมันเหมือนคือ curious light เลยอะถูกไหมใช่ไหมภาพเหมือนอันเดียวกันเลยครับสีเดียวกันเลย
The one in the center matches the yellow spark
ใช่ว่าแล้ว
curious light across the various rooms and doors. It also
อ๋อ
นี่
นี่ครับนี่เลยตรงนี้ถูกไหมที่เป็นในคูซิฟิกถูกไหมที่เป็นในคูซิฟิกนั่นแหละใช่ไหมที่เป็นรูปดาวอะไรอย่างงี้ใช่
Now if the center symbol is meant to be curious light then it would make sense for the blue symbol to be guiding light. It guides us to the hotel with a blue light. When we use the items gifted to us by guiding light like the crucifix, the symbols that banish the entities are also blue. And would you look at that? At the center of the binding circle
นั่นไงโอเคใช่
same symbol that appears in the painting. This is the symbol of guiding light.
โอเคเป็นสัญลักษณ์ของ guiding light ครับ
And with there being 3 symbols on this painting, I have a sneaking suspicion that means curious light is also another one of these architects. But there's one
เป็น architect อันดับ1ด้วยนะ
In the bottom right corner there's a red symbol that you might not be familiar with. This symbol only appears
ไม่มีอะไรสีแดงๆมาก
modifiers. Essentially
modifier โอเคเข้าใจละโอเค
are
ต่อ
designed to make the game more challenging, but in turn you get higher rewards. They can do things like make the
ใช่
give you less health
ทำให้เราแบบ
game and
ได้เหรียญเยอะขึ้น
faster
ถูกไหม
or appear more frequent. When you activate
ได้เหรียญ
modifiers,
เยอะขึ้นหรือว่า
this
ได้
red
เหรียญน้อยลง
symbol appears on the screen. Same red
ใช่
symbol
modifier
that's in the painting. Given there are
เห
no
มือน
other symbols
ก็
on
เห
this
มือนอยู่
painting, this has to be our third architect that the
ถ้ามัน
crucifix
มันแปลคำว่า architect เป็นอะไรนะสถาปนิกผมก็ลองใช้ Google Translate ด้วยนะมันก็แปลว่าสถาปนิกครับก็ไม่มั่นใจว่าอะไร
wingdings told us about. The one that Curious Light is referencing when it says she.
She said we could call that one Blitz.
Suddenly, this line from Curious Light makes sense. This new architect knows Blitz's name because modifiers are literally able to change the behavior of the entities in the hotel. She has power over them.
แสดงว่า modifier ก็คือ she คนนั้นถูกไหม
She seems to have power over the other architects. There's a mod that
ก็คือเป็นเหมือน
deactivates
ตัวที่มีพลังมากสุด
from Seek's chase sequence, making that challenge much
โอเคเขาบอกว่า modifier สามารถทำให้เราแบบทำให้ไม่มีแบบ guiding light ตอนที่มี seek chest ได้แสดงว่า modifier น่าจะสามารถควบคุมทุกอย่างใน DOS ได้เหรอ
If you die during the main game with modifiers active, guiding light will not appear on the death screen to help you out. And then, if you reach door 60, you'll be unable to enter the rooms. It is completely blocked off to you by this mysterious red force. The same
ซึ่ง
color
ก็คือ modifier
as this final
โอเค
architect. She is the most powerful architect we've encountered, able to control the entities within the hotel and alter the hotel itself, overriding any control guiding light has. She is so powerful that Curious Light doesn't question her or her authority. That makes her a scary force to deal with. And I have a feeling that we're going to be dealing with her a lot more in the coming updates. We've been waiting patiently for the Doors Floor 2 update. But in
Doors Floor
October,
2
we finally got a sneak peek of what's to come. For achieving the milestone
อั
of
นนี้ผมก็ยังไม่ได้ดูเลย
billion visits, that's billion with a B, the developers gave us a teaser image for Floor 2 known simply as the Mines. Now, I have to say,
Floor 2 จะเป็น The
huge
Mines
congratulations to the developers. 4 billion is a massive achievement and it's incredible.
4,000 ล้านอะ
But when I saw this image, I immediately started trying to figure out what it meant for the story going forward. What inspiration did the developers take to go down this mineshaft route? I did find a few hotels that have rooms in old mine shafts. One of them's even quite close to me. It's just over in Wales. But there didn't seem to be anything special about them. They just felt like gimmicks designed to trap tourists and travel vloggers with unique experiences. However, now that I have the additional piece that is this new architect, I found something that not only ties into our previous theories, but gives us a little more information about what we can expect inside the
โหนี่คือลึกมาก
In our
ครับ
initial theories, we spoke about the main entity of Doors, the figure, a creature made of flesh and bones which stood out against the other black, inky, or ghostly entities of the hotel. Based on the use of religious and occult imagery found in the game, like the binding circle, we determined that the figure was a homunculus, a version of a human being created not by natural means, but through occult alchemy. Typically, these were made by mixing human flesh, bones, and teeth. And through the final door, where the figure chases us to the elevator, we see piles of flesh throughout the level. This all led us to believe that the next update would take us deep underground, where we'd find the origins of the figure, the place that the cult that created it originally resided. Now that we know that Floor 2 takes place in a mine, I started looking into whether there were any cults that took refuge in mines. It feels like something we see in fiction all the time, but when it came to reality, there was only one very specific answer that I found. In Bolivia, there are groups that worship a spirit that lives in the mines. This spirit is called El Tio, and though his appearance looks like the Christian devil, El Tio is an ambivalent spirit, capable of giving both wealth and destruction. The miners would worship El Tio, building a shrine inside the mine and providing offerings to him in order to receive safety. They'd offer things like alcohol, cigarettes, coca leaves, even the blood of llamas. The miners would then light a minecart on fire full of these offerings and push the cart deep into the mines, never to be seen again. Which is interesting, as we also see a single minecart being pushed down into a deep hole in the recent teaser.
ไหนๆอ๋อ teaser
Could
โอเค
this have been a hole for sacrifices? There were also specific rules you had to follow if you were going into the mines and worshipping El Tio, namely what you could or couldn't bring with you when you went in or out of the mines. Up until 2009, Bolivia was an official Catholic nation, and the majority of its residents still are Catholics today. So, unsurprisingly, worshipping a devil-like being wasn't really liked by the Catholic Church. Due to this conflict between the miners and the church, certain rules were followed when going in and out of the mines. Specifically, no Catholic imagery like crucifixes were allowed inside the mines, and no El Tio imagery was allowed outside the mines. The outside world was God's domain, but the mines, the underground, belonged to El Tio. The two were not allowed to mix, which feels very similar to what we're seeing indoors. In this space-time painting, we see both guiding light and this new light, but they are on opposite sides of the painting. They are being shown as diametrically opposed. They cannot coexist, which is why when you activate modifiers, guiding light can no longer
อ๋อก็คือถ้าเกิดเราเอาใช้ modifier guiding light ก็คือไม่สามารถที่จะมาได้เหรอ
Guiding light's assistance, you have to remove the modifiers. They cannot be in the same place at the same
อยู่
time.
ที่
Now
เดียว
again, we know
เดียว
that
กัน
Doors isn't going
ไม่
for a
ได้
directly religious story, only taking inspiration from it, and that's what I think we're seeing here. It seems to me like the mines and this new architect might at least partially be inspired by the mines of Bolivia and the cult of El Tio that lies within, which means that guiding light is going to be of no use to us in this
มาก
update.
ครับ
We're likely not going to be able to bring our candle or our crucifix with us.
อาจจะใช้
Even if
สอง
we
อย่าง
are, I
นี้ไม่
doubt
ได้
they're
แล้
going
ว
to have any effect. Much like we saw when we entered Curious Light's domain in the
Okay.
rooms. This is her domain, and guiding light is not welcome. The question is that a bad thing? LTO isn't an evil spirit. It can be good or bad depending on how you treat it. We see that in how the modifiers work. The game may get harder, but we get more rewards out of it if we succeed. So while she seems like an opposing force to Guiding Light, who is the one that has been helping us so far, this new architect isn't inherently evil or against us. They may have power over the entities we've encountered so far, but we have no idea what awaits us in the mines. And much like in the mines of Bolivia, working with her might be our only chance of surviving whatever new threat awaits us. And then, what happens when Curious Light is thrown into the mix? We freed him into the hotel after the Backdoors update, so I could see him coming down to the mines as well. He seems to get along with this new architect in some way, or at least they've been in the same place long
Curious
enough
Light
to
ช่วย
hurt
แท
our
น Guiding
bosses.
Light
Maybe he'll offer us some much needed assistance. That or he'll just mock us the entire time for dying. I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens when the Floor 2 update finally releases. But hey,
รอตั้งนานแล้วก็ยังไม่ออก
just
เลย
a theory, a game theory. Thanks for watching.
โอ้จบแล้ว
And if you wanted to see how stressful the new
โอเค
time-sensitive Backdoors update truly was,
ก็
click the video on the left where Matt does a pretty
จบ
good
เท่า
job
นี้
of
ครับ
getting through everything.
ก็จบไปแล้วนะครับสำหรับอะไรนะ DOS เป็นแค่จุดเริ่มต้นเท่านั้นนะครับซึ่งก็ใครอยากดูคลิปเต็มๆเองโดยที่ไม่ได้มีผมมาพูดอะไรอย่างนี้แทรกนะก็ผมจะทิ้งลิงก์ให้ใต้คลิปเหมือนเดิมนะครับแล้วก็สามารถเสิร์ชช่องนี้ได้เลยนะครับ The Game Theorist นะครับซึ่งก็เรายังมีคลิปนี้อยู่นะครับเกม Theory ของ Indigo Park ที่เราเล่นกันนะครับก็เดี๋ยวเราก็จะมาหาอะไรดูหาวันว่างๆมาดูอะไรอย่างนี้ด้วยแล้วกันเนาะก็สำหรับวันนี้ผมไว้เท่านี้ก่อนแล้วกันนะครับ